Hello, 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 and welcome to the I Am Black Girl Curls Facebook and YouTube page. Welcome. Today we're going to be talking about our thoughts on grease. But before we get into that, I'm going to introduce myself because this may be the first time we're meeting. Hey, girl, hey. My name is Aishia. I am the co-founder of Black Girl Curls. I'm also a licensed cosmetologist in the state of Illinois, and my primary focus is on natural hair. Been working with natural hair for 2 years now. Well, 2.5 years. I've been behind the chair. I actually started out as a beauty blogger, talking about all things beauty. And eventually I shifted into a space where I was going to start. I wanted to be more knowledgeable about hair. I didn't want to just be sharing my opinion because it seems that opinions have run rampant all over the internet space when it comes to hair, as with this very topic that we'll be discussing today. Introduce yourself before you start making faces.
Yes. Hi, everybody. My name is Aeleise and Aishia. I am a licensed cosmetologist in Georgia, Illinois, and California. I am I'm a 16-year veteran of the beauty industry. Been specializing in natural hair for 10 years. Licensed cosmetologist for 13. All I do is curly hair. I don't have another job. I don't have another career.
You ain't another job, girl.
I mean, I'm a painter on the side because that's what I got my degree in. But other than that, no, I do hair all the time, all day. This is what I study. This is what I learned. So this is not my opinion. This is my practical experience and my theoretical knowledge. Let's go.
Oh, well, there it is. So I don't know if y'all know, but probably like a week ago when I was going through some of the stuff we've been doing on YouTube, this thing about grease pops up. And I'm like, and I had to go look at the year of the video to be sure I was seeing what I was seeing, but apparently it was 2019, and the people are like,
oh, Lord.
The year before the 20 and the 20, that people are still using grease. So I always jokingly say this, but I am very serious when I say this. I have not used grease since the 99 and the 2000. Seriously, real talk. I remember the day I decided to stop using grease. I was in high school. I was in a chemistry class. We were not learning. And so I was talking to one of my classmates about her hair because it was so fluffy. I was like, what do you use? Of course, because that's what we always ask, right? What are you doing? And she was like, oh, I don't use grease. That's how the conversation started. I was like, wait a minute. So you don't grease your scalp? She was like, no, I don't grease my scalp. And her hair, while she's telling me this, her hair is moving.
Yes, girl bounce.
Right. And I made sure I am a girl who is all about aesthetics. If it's something, I see something I like, I'm going for it. So I was like, okay, so you mean tell me all I got to do is stop using grease? And on that day in 1996, I remember the year. This is really crazy, but I have not used grease since 1996. And my life had been forever changed since the day I gave up grease. So when I saw that people were bringing it back, I was confused.
Because I'm like, I haven't used grease. I don't think I ever used grease on myself. My mother used grease on me. And then when I took over my hair care when I was 10, because my mom, I love my mom. She's amazing. She's not a hair person. I started doing what my hairstylist was doing because my hairstylist didn't use grease on me. She shampooed me, she conditioned me, she put a serum on my hair before she blow dried me out because I had a relaxer. My hair was actually, when I was 13, my hair was below my bra strap. And me being fancy, I decided I want a lob. So I ended up with a lob after having really long hair, but my hair was healthy. It grew out. I never had a chemical burn. I never experienced anything. And I never used grease on my hair. My stylist didn't use grease. Why would I be using grease on my hair? So I had whatever, like the Bio Silk serum, and I wasn't a sprayer, but I would put the Bio Silk on before I blow dried. I would blow dry it. I would curl it with my big barrel Conair, and it was gonna ride out for the next week, regardless of my dance practice, my band practice, whatever practice. The only time that changed is when I was on the swim team. I was on the swim team for 2 years, and we were doing 2-a-days, morning practice, nighttime practice. I didn't put grease in my hair. I still had a relaxer when this was happening. I shampooed my hair in the morning. I co-washed it in the evening. I would put it in the braids because this was the original braid out in 1997 and 98. I would put it in braids and I would shampoo and condition it within, and I would probably still use the same BioSilk serum when I did it the first time, and just make sure that shampoo and condition, shampoo and condition, shampoo and condition. End of swim season, after my first season, hair was even longer because I went to my hairstylist like the day the last one me happened. It was like, I gotta stop looking like who did it and why. Beautiful updo, half up, half down, done. No grease. Where are we coming from with this whole grease girl's hair is what I want to understand.
So I watched one video and then somebody tagged me to another video this week. And the people that I've been seeing have pink lotion hair. And when I say pink lotion hair, I'm not saying it to be shady. I am saying pink lotion hair
pink
because
lotion, water on a brush.
That girl, everybody knows that girl. Everybody knows that one girl in their class who had those like medium waves, but it was silky, and so it laid down and looked like a bed of ocean in her hair. And all she used was pink lotion, water, and
the brush with her.
More bristle brush. Those are the people that I'm seeing that are using the Blue Magic on they have pink lotion hair, meaning again, they can do anything to their hair. They can go in my kitchen right now and use the Dawn dishwashing liquid and use it for a styler and still get these amazing results. A look, because that's what people are going after, a look. And then when they get done having that look, they're going to have a lot of lint, a lot of dirt and debris caught up in their hair. Because if they live where I live and there's a train behind my house, whatever is coming off that train when it goes by at 90 miles an hour, it's in my hair. It is all in my hair. Everything that is floating around. I live in Chicago. It is a major city, big major, and everything's in the air here. I live about 18 minutes from O'Hare Airport. Okay, I know I'm exposed.
You have jet fuel in your hair.
Basically. So if I'm going to style my hair with Blue Magic, I'm definitely going to have everything that is happening outside in my hair. I also don't have pink lotion hair.
And this is Georgia. So between like February and June, your hair is just going to be yellow. Like my car is. It's just going to be yellow. You're going to walk outside and everything that is like floating in the atmosphere because the cover the baby's ears because the tree's nutted on everything. In your hair. So let's also talk about, okay, so Marcy does it. You wore a hard press till you were 16. Woo! I've only had maybe 2 hard presses in my entire life.
I know what Marcy's talking about.
I will never have a hard press in my life. Because of the effect that hard press has on the hair and the fact that we were using grease as a protectant. What do? We put chicken in grease, it fries. And so when we're putting heat on grease, it's frying the hair versus when you're putting it on a silicone-based serum, which I get it. We didn't have silicone-based serums in the 70s and 60s and before then. But when I was my hair pressed at like 9 and 10, that's when they were starting to be introduced into the salons.
Oh, yeah.
Thank you, Carlin. Thank you. But the fact is, when we put grease on our hair, and I experienced this firsthand with a family member who was committed to her Vitapont. And if y'all don't, Vitapont was a hairdressing cream. It's a Vitapont hairdressing cream.
Mine don't use her hair to use that too. You need to be
in her 80s when I was doing her hair. And I learned this as I wasn't really that early on doing hair, but this was maybe like 2013. So I was a couple years into actually physically doing hair and working with this hair that had this Vitapont that was layered and layered and layered and layered on it. This hair absorbed, first of all, this hair had absorbed all the petroleum base of that Vitapont, and petroleum, aka grease, because every grease is petroleum based. And no amount of clarifying shampoo, no amount of crystal gel treatment, no amount of hard water treatment, no amount of Nairobi chelating shampoo. And for the hairstylists out here or old school people in black salons, no, you don't get much stronger than the Nairobi chelating shampoo. It will not remove that absorbed oil from the hair. So what that has done is, because your hair is so chock full of this cheap petroleum oil, water repels. Everything is repelling from the hair. So if your color don't take, it's because you got that Vitapon in there, or that petroleum, or that grease. If your hair it feels soft because grease is a lubricant. Grease is an emollient. So it's going to feel like you have a coating of something lubricating on that hair. But that actual hair strand is dying a death of dehydration. But the reason it stays on your head is because it's lubricated in a way that it's malleable, it's pliable. Is it hydrated? No. Is it going to style the way you want it to? No. Because you literally cannot get that grease stain out of the hair.
I just want to see them outside when it is wet and like it's misting, because the hair is going to turn into what my hair is doing right now, basically on day 5, 6, almost 7 after I've been wearing this wash and go. I don't understand it. But what we do need to understand about grease, historically about grease, it's all we had to use up until about, let's say 1989. Let that be the cutoff.
Okay, that could be the cutoff. That could be
because I remember getting my hair like, I can't remember who said earlier, but yes, about the hard press, because I remember my mom using the Blue Magic and then pressing my hair with the Blue Magic on it. And I remember like it used to burn to my, like somehow stuck to my scalp, and I would scratch and I would be like, what is this green stuff on my scalp? It was because it was green too. Blue Magic, Green Magic, whatever. It came in 2 colors.
It had a green formula.
Yes, they had a green formula. And so I remember it getting stuck on my scalp to the point that I would scrape it and I would see it on my, and I'd be like, why is it green on my, like I couldn't figure it out, but I'm 7 and I don't do my hair. So I don't really know what's going on. However, I see that they're using it for twist outs. And I just want to know how many days it lasted. I just want to know how many days did they get out of this Blue Magic twist out, because I know it didn't last very long.
But it's not. It may have lasted. Here is why. Because one, the hair itself is not really getting wet, even in the cleansing and the conditioning process. But that grease is so heavy. So think about when you can sculpt a pound of butter. You can sculpt a pound of shea butter. You can sculpt, if somebody was to put like a petroleum, you could sculpt petroleum jelly. That's the same thing that's happening when you take that hair, you take that outer layer of petroleum and you're setting it into something. It's going to set into something. But my thing is, I thought on this natural hair journey, we were here for healthy and hydrated. It truly just depends on what your goal is. That grease is not giving you healthy and hydrated. That grease is giving you artificially soft and lubricated. And yes, some people, especially the folks with the pink lotion hair, can put anything on their hair and it's not going to necessarily impact the strand and the retention of the length in the strand. That is not the majority of people. How many of us, I feel like, again, my hair is semi-unicornish, like relaxed, never got a chemical burn, never broke my hair off with a relaxer, always had long hair with a relaxer. My stylist was like, are you sure you want to cut this off? Every single time I was like, no, I want a bob. I want this. I want that. Everybody always asks me, are you sure you want to cut off? No, because my hair grows. But so many girls, think about your elementary school class. Even if you were the unicorn, how many people had 8-up wraps? How many people had 8-up ponytails? They may have been doing the same thing I was doing that you were doing to your hair, or you may have been doing the same thing old girl with the long hair did, but your hair looked like somebody been knowing at them ends, because of the exposure to heat, because their hair couldn't take being cooked in the grease, because their hair couldn't take weekly presses, because the actual essential elements of their hair needed to be hydrated. So, and you're right. Actually, do I have the book here? No, it's at the salon. But I just came across it in my screenshots. We have to understand why we were using grease in past times to understand why it's not the best option we have on the market now. So in the book, was it Hair Story by Ayanna Bird and Lori Tharps? I'm actually trying to pull it up so that you can see what it says. It gives a detail of how Black people who were brought to this country not by their own volition had to find things to do their hair with, just basic hygiene and grooming. And they were able to find axle oil. They were able to find whatever was kind of the remnants of what was laying around the house, lard, tallow, to lubricate the hair. Because one, they weren't bathing like we do bathe now. They weren't cleansing their hair like we do now. They weren't even doing whatever hygiene practices were common in their own culture, wherever they came from in Africa. And you had a whole bunch of people who were coming from different cultures of Africa just thrown in on the same plantation. Same thing as we got out of slavery and the Reconstruction and into Jim Crow and all that. We had to use what we had to do the things that we needed to do with our hair. If our hair needed to be in a slick back bun to be presentable to go be a maid in somebody's house, or it needed to be in a waved conch so that we could go shoe shine or drive a car or do the things that we needed to do. And then when products were created on the market for us, I mean, Madam C.J. Walker, I think her name was Ann Turnbull Poro Products. I'm coming up with names. All of those, they had to use the raw ingredients they had access to. These were people who grew up in poverty, who were one generation removed from slavery. They had to use what they had to be able to bring things to the market that we, again, could use to present ourselves. So let's take that back historically. These products were not being used to hydrate. These products were not being used to moisturize. There were no alternatives. We were not necessarily as exposed to the things we're exposed to in the world now.
No, I mean, and their conditions were even different. I mean, they didn't have, homes the way we have homes now. They were in cramped conditions and poorly made, like, houses stacked on top of each other, on sleeping on probably, I don't know, in some cases probably bales of hay or whatever they can get together so that they can rest their head on at night, and being exposed to vermin, to insects, and in the cotton fields, whatever was out there. So all of that put together, on top of not being able to continue on with whatever beauty practices they had prior to then, led to just what we had. We used, again, what we had available to us. Now here we are in the 20 and the 20, and people want to argue with us about clay. They want to argue with us about using things that are not necessarily beneficial nor are needed when we live in a modern day society. That's just like saying, you know what? We don't need these smartphones.
We don't need this deodorant. We don't need this deodorant. This is the book. If anybody wants to, this is the book, Hair Story, Untangling the Roots of Black Hair in America. That's the updated version, because I read the initial version 10 years ago, and they actually updated it to include information about the natural hair market as it stood, of maybe 2012.
I need to get that. I need to do me a little thing of books. I'm getting a better feel of my evenings, and I probably can find 10 to 20 minutes to read at night, so I can catch up on some reading. But again, we have to know, again, this is a big part of what we do. It's about the how and the why. So why are we using grease? People are using grease because they don't know what else works. They don't know what works because they don't understand hair. They don't understand hair because y'all are not hair stylists. Y'all are not professionals. And it's not your job to know how it works. And this is why you need to seek out knowledgeable people, hair folks let me not say hair folks. Hair professionals.
Hair professionals that have advanced education in the type of hair that you have. If you have a relaxer, you want to go to the relaxer stylist who takes advanced education classes, who knows the latest technology, who understands what's coming down the pipeline in terms of products and how to use them. If you're wearing your hair naturally curly, you want somebody who is taking advanced education, who understands essential elements of hair, who understands water solubility and how water actually affects hair that is not processed and what it needs. If you're wearing your hair locked, then you need somebody who understands advanced processes of locked hair. So this is where we probably at this point have the blind leading the blind, who have not because that's why I really wanted to pull up that book. It's about the context. We are doing things out of context. And not saying that what our parents did and what our grandparents did was bad. Like my great-grandmother had, until I cut it off when I was 7. This is how I probably should know I was going to be a hairstylist. My great-grandmother had long hair that she put Vaseline on. She also had hair loss and 5 pieces of hair. My grandmother, her hairline is, she's still alive. She's 95, her hairline back here. But what I see is in my mom and in my aunt, the women in my family, when they change their hair care practices, they change the story of their family. I don't think I'm going to end up getting that type of impact because of the change in giving my scalp access to water, having a clean scalp, not having the follicle. Okay, back to how even hair works. Hair is a liquid inside of the follicle. The follicle is an indentation. You have a bunch of them, indentations in the scalp. They're fed by the blood vessels. They're already sebaceous glands, oil glands in the scalp. So when hair pushes out of it, one, that follicle has to be clear. It has to be clear. It has to be clean. It cannot be harboring bacteria or fungi that's growing out of control. And so when you start to oil that scalp, when you start to not shampoo on a regular basis, when you're living in this dirty hair, you are allowing fungi, bacteria, viruses sometimes, other autoimmune issues
and critters
to fester into that scalp. And so it might not be affecting you by scratching. It might not be affecting you by seeing it. But over time, that follicle starts to die. That hair can't grow out. They're clogged. The skin gets inflamed. All these things happen. And so it impacts our hair almost right at the time where our hormones change, when we have babies. We go into perimenopause. We're going to full-on menopause. We in menopause. All these things are changes in the female body. So I'm talking about women because men too, but I know more about women. So we're doing all of this hustling backwards.
Yeah, it's like, you know what? None of this new shit works. That's what y'all are saying. The people that are using the grease, like, none of this new shit works. Let's just go back and hop in the time machine and go back to about 1970 and stay there. If you do that, guess what? Throw out your smartphone, get yourself a map, and get around the city. Because I tell you, every day I am using some type of map to go pick my son up so I can get through the traffic faster. There's a reason why we advance in technology, why we advance as a culture, and why we advance as a human species, because we're in search of something that's better. We're not hopping back and going all the way back like, let's go here. No, let's not go back there. I don't want to do grease ever again.
We're advancing, but we're also gaining a deeper understanding. We have more tools. We have more studies that have studied the effect of grease on the scalp, that have studied the effect of follicles being clogged, have studied the effect of how bacteria and fungi reproduce in an environment that is not clean. And as I was saying before, everybody has spilled some oil on a shirt, right? And you can bleach it to high heaven. You can wash with every single detergent you want to wash it with. It is going to be next to impossible to get that oil stain off of your hair. And we're just probably talking about at that point, olive oil and coconut oil, which are they're naturally based. Petroleum is not. Petroleum is a whole nother level of
it's
coming off your hair.
It's man-made. It's a man-made product that doesn't belong on your hair. I mean, I have footage when I was in Morocco. And so if you don't know, Morocco's major crop is the argan plant that people are putting that oil in products or putting the oil on their hair. And the lady said, I have video and I never shared that. I have to share that. But she was like, don't put it on your hair. It's a waste of money. Do not put the argan. This is a lady who's selling me actual, real pure argan oil. She's like, don't put it on your hair. Don't waste that good ass argan oil on your hair.
That is not cheap.
No,
put it on your skin.
The processing of the argan alone is mind blowing, because in order for them to actually process it, a goat has to eat it and pass it before they can even start processing it. That should tell you a lot about the argan right there alone.
I knew that some years ago, and that's why I'm like, y'all can miss me with this. That's because that's because me. That's because me. I use snail stuff on my face with my skin because my skin feels amazing with it. So I'm not that person, but I can't. Yeah, that's really where we just wanted to come in and just like, I see why. Because if you don't know what you're doing and you don't know about hair and you don't know what's out there, what's quality and what's not, it's really easy to go back and say, this is $5. And my hair was long with this before.
Absolutely. And I can see that. My hair was long too, but I wasn't doing my hair. I wasn't even responsible. First of all, my mother couldn't even really do hair. No shade to my mama. She just was not a hair girl. She was not a hair mom. And she had a child with more hair than the neighborhood had. And so that was too much for life. I'm going to let it stop. I don't want to try to compete. But yeah, that is just too much. So we don't have to go back. What we need to do as naturals is first stop where we are at this given moment in our natural hair lives. That's what we need to do first. And then we need to seek out the insight, information, or even an appointment from a professional who actually is doing this on a regular basis, because everything, I don't care what y'all are doing as far as styling, it goes back to foundational basic hair care. And once we understand just even, and you don't have to know everything, because we just had a live with our community over at the Black Curl Magic digital salon. A lot of them are feeling a little overwhelmed. You don't have to know it the way that we know it. You don't. But you need to understand that cleansing with shampoo is a thing. Conditioning with great emollient conditioners is amazing. It could change your life. Having a tool so you can detangle your hair properly will also change your life. And then knowing what styling product to use for the desired look that you're trying to achieve is going to blow your whole entire mind. It's going to open you up to something that is so simple that you wish you had known it 10 years ago, because you've been natural for 12. And so it doesn't have to be this way. And so we wanted to come here and have this conversation because, again, this grease conversation seems to, it's about to.
Tashana, you about to start some stuff. How you using grease that uses sulfate-free, paraben-free, all-natural shampoo? This not how it works. That's not how any of this works.
It's not.
No. You're gonna need you're gonna need some Dawn. Like the Bucky's in the oil spill. You're gonna need some Dawn to get all that. Same thing. It's petroleum. You're gonna need some Dawn to get that stuff off your hair.
You are gonna need Dawn to get that off. It's just not. No, don't do it. Don't fall in a trap. Don't do this to your hair. I don't want to fix it. That's where I'm coming from. Like, please don't do not bring that to me at the salon. Like, please don't do this. Don't do this to yourself. Don't do this to somebody's sofa. Don't do it to somebody's headrest in their car.
Don't be so one.
Don't do it to your significant others. Silk blouse, shirt, jersey. I don't care, leather jacket, fur. Don't do it. Just don't do it to your collar of your coat, of your shirts that you like to
ruin your wardrobe.
Ooh, you about to ruin everything for some grease. Do we really want to risk it all for grease? Really?
Apparently. Oh, somebody was saying, what can you do if you can't get to us in Chicago or Atlanta? Well, you can join the Black Curl Magic Digital Salon, or you can go to blackcurlmagic.com and look on our directory to see if there is a stylist who is trained with us in your area.
Oh, and you could also grab a copy of our book, Wash Your Damn Hair, because that's what the hell everybody gonna need after they stop using grease. They gonna need to wash their damn hair with shampoo multiple times. The right shampoo, a strong ass shampoo, so y'all can get that grease off y'all hair. But you can also get that over at blackcurlmagic.com. Your copy of the book. You probably gonna need the book, and you're gonna need to join the community because you need to be dipped in some real good information to get your hair life right.
Wait, hold on. People have been coming to your hairstylist with rice water buildup. I feel so bad for her. And I feel bad for the people who think that the rice water is doing something for the hair. So let's talk about all this as well. Hair growth is internal. Hair growth happens inside of your body. There is nothing that you can put on topically that will accelerate the rate of your hair growth. The only thing that has been proven to regrow hair and follicles has been Rogaine. That's why so many dermatologists, that's their first line of defense when they're dealing with someone with hair loss, is because it's a topical that actually goes into that follicle and can possibly regenerate if the follicle is not either scarred too much or if it's still alive, because sometimes that follicle is just dead because the blood vessels are no longer feeding it because of inflammation or infection or any other reason that pericarp follicle should have just like gave up and died. And so people are coming in with rice water. Number one, rice water is fermented food. So if you're applying anything that is, number one, fermented, and two, food, you have to be shampooing after the use of it. Then if you are doing that,
some of that rice is bleached to make it white.
Because rice will come out white.
The rice is not white, guys. It is not white. It's not white. If you read the package of the rice, it says bleached white rice. Most of the rice that people are buying, because everybody's not going to Trader Joe's and buying no basmati rice and making water from it. Y'all not doing that.
No, not with the ladies in China who are in the rice paddies doing their hair with it. Number one. Number two, it's fermented and it's on your hair, meaning you're right, it's building up on the scalp because you have this food, this biological substance building up on the scalp that is feeding fungi, bacteria, parasites, mites, and can trigger any of those number of things can trigger an inflammatory response. And as somebody, I deal with inflammatory conditions. So if something is triggering an inflammatory response, your body, that means your immune system gets activated and comes to fight whatever is happening on your scalp. One thing, you do not want your immune system fighting your hair follicles. Your hair follicles will not win. That's why people who have lupus, people who have sometimes fibromyalgia, folks who have autoimmune disorders, sometimes the first manifestation or one of the main manifestations happens in the scalp because, again, that hair follicle is fed by the bloodstream. So anything that is going to affect the growth of hair is happening in the bloodstream. Feed yourself well. Drink your water. Tamp down on the alcohol and the other things that you're putting in your body that may not be good. Get your sleep. Reduce your stress. Don't work out. Get your woman hormones together. All of that is going to affect your growth versus pouring ice water on your hair.
Work out. That blood gets flowing. And when your blood is flowing all over your body because you're helping it to move in the way it's supposed to be, because blood needs oxygen, actually, if y'all didn't know that, but blood needs oxygen. And so taking in more air in your body is going to help with the growth of everything that goes on with your body while also losing some lbs. Somebody said GMO rice.
Get your water in.
Somebody said you're using GMO rice. They want to be so natural. No, natural with the rice is GMO, babe.
That is what. Oh, and weevils. I didn't think about that.
Weevils. What is that?
Weevils live in rice.
Oh,
that's why you're like when you do like raw rice that you have to cook for like 45 minutes. You're supposed to put it out on a pan and like soak it for a minute. And you're supposed to pull out anything because rice can have contaminants in it as well. Not the onion peel water tonic. Should stop playing, might end up with alopecia. I agree, because you're doing all these things that are topical that are then affecting what your body can actually maintain with what's going on with your hair. So Linda, welcome to the Black Curl Magic Experience. We don't use oil.
Yeah, we don't use raw oils. Raw ones. They are
well formulated in them.
Yes, they are present in some of the products that we have on our curated list, which you can either find in the Black Curl Magic digital salon. Once you haven't been indoctrinated, you first have to be indoctrinated to get the list. Or you can get our book, Wash Your Damn Hair. There's also a curated list of products that we recommend. But before you even get into the product, What we first must understand is the hows and whys of hair. Once we understand the how and the why, then we can determine what it is we need for whatever it is that we're trying to do, because we're trying to do something, be it clean our hair. Like, for example, shampoo, right? We're going to use shampoo, but guess what? There's a spectrum of shampoos, and not all shampoos are created equal. So you want to use the appropriate shampoo for whatever your hair needs at that current moment. So this is what we discuss in both the community and inside the book. We talk about this all over the online space. So if you want to go like scour through what we have already on social media, you can do that. If you want to just like, listen, I'm over this. I am tired of all of this new information every day, and I really just want to know how to like simply do my hair, then you need to come over to the Black Curl Magic digital salon. I'm telling you, life has been changed forever for a lot of people, because the way all this hair is flourishing over in that community. Everybody has some good ass hair over there. Like, all the good hair is in the Black Curl Magic digital salon. No lie.
It really is. Y'all killing it out here. Marty, what about rose water? What about rose water? I mean, it smells good.
I don't like the way it smells. It reminds me of my great auntie's bathroom. We used to go over her house on weekends.
I think that's why I like it.
I don't like it. It's so old lady. I hate it. I do not like it.
What do you want it to do? I guess that's everybody keeps like, it's a whole bunch of what abouts, but what do you want to do with your hair? And a lot of things that we're trying to do, we're doing the most and getting the least.
Right, least amount of days out of our hair, least amount of moisture, least amount of happiness with our hair. Like, I could go on and on about least when it comes to doing all this stuff that's not actually helping get you to wherever it is you're trying to get to, whatever your hair goal may be.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so it's we keep it simple, and that's really all it is. It's like all this extraneous stuff, like you shampoo your hair, condition your hair, choose 1 to 2, maybe 3 if you're really feeling froggy or fancy, or your hair is in a rehab and recovery process. Styling products that are based for what you need to do. So Marty, I'm gonna breathe so I don't sound all up here. I'm gonna breathe so I can bring it back down.
Just meet her where she is.
That's all I have to breathe, because I get in my higher register sometimes. So for the hair fighting frizz is fought with hydration. Frizz is fought with proper cleansing. Frizz is fought with quality conditioners. Frizz is fought with proper application of high quality stylers and applying them properly, drying them properly. Rose water isn't going to do anything about a frizz.
Nah, listen, frizz is like, what, rose water? What, son? Frizz. You still gonna get it though. That's what your frizz is doing with the rose water.
I'm not saying chemicals. Like, I really kind of hate how we equate a styler with chemicals. Like the main styler we use, actually.
Let me just say this real
here is preservative. There is xanthan gum, potassium sorbate, sodium benzoate, and they are the last ingredients on this. Everything else in here is botanically based and sourced from a botanical product.
Let me come close to the camera though, real quick. One of our favorite things that we like to use on our hair is actually a chemical. Water. H2O is a compound. It's a chemical that we put on our hair all the time, on our bodies, and we drink it. Our bodies are full of chemicals, to be honest. Naturally, there are like our bodies. We're composed of chemicals. I took biology in college and all throughout high school. When you start getting down to these microorganisms and you start putting it all together, you're like, wait a minute, that's in my body though. Yeah, it pretty much is. I wanted to address Ashley. She said on YouTube, there's a natural who says you have to apply deep conditioner to dry hair. Listen, I've been seeing this little conversation happening recently with this deep conditioning. Then shampoo. Girl, people are deep conditioning on dry hair before they even put shampoo on it.
My conditioners cost too much to be wasted like that.
Girl, wasting so much time and money. So much time and money. There's no way possible that you can put well, you can put it on there. Let's say that you can put it on there, but there is nothing happening to your hair when you already have products on your hair. So you're going to take your hair that hasn't been cleansed and put deep conditioner on it. That does not make any sense. That's kind of like taking a frying pan that you used last night and just putting it on the stove and using it again without ever putting dishwasher liquid on it to clean it.
All right, I wanna say, so hi Zuleika, your name looks familiar. She got fed up with buying products, so she has locks now. Here's what I'm gonna say this. I used to do locks. I don't do them anymore because I went deeper into my specialty, but locks are hair. Locks are the same as if you had loose natural hair. I don't educate on them because I don't want that. I don't want to get into locks again, but locks are the same. Locks need to be cleansed. Locks need to be conditioned.
With shampoo.
With shampoo. Locks need to be cleansed. Locks need to be conditioned, especially locks that are fully formed. Now, if you're still in the forming process of locks, you're probably not going to use a conditioner because you want that cuticle to raise up and start to form that cylindrical form in that lock. So you probably aren't conditioning maybe for the first 12 to 16 months, and your hair is going to feel hard. It's going to feel, and you can condition if you want to, but it may slow your process down a little bit. It just depends on your desires in the locking process. In your locking process, unless you're getting interlocked, which I have beef with that process that a lot of people do, you are using a botanical, whether it's a flaxseed based or aloe based product to hold the retightening as that hair starts the locking process going down. So locked hair care is not different from loose natural hair care. And for those of you who have locks and you're looking for somebody like, y'all don't talk about locks, go see what's her
Curly
name?
New Growth.
Thank you, Curly New Growth.
Curly New Growth, and the new is NU Growth. Everything's growth, but Curly New Growth, CurlyNugrowth. You can find her on Instagram. She actually has a course as well, focused specifically on the maintenance of locks.
Because that's what I find is when I did locks, that's one of the reasons why I don't do them anymore, is there is this conception that once my hair is locked, I don't have to care for my hair or my scalp. Is I can go 6 weeks and not shampoo my scalp. You're still under the same process that you be harboring bacteria, fungi, critters, all that type of stuff, just your hairstyle. Locking, and I completely understand the spiritual and all of that goes with locks. I went to college in Florida and I have a lot of friends who are Caribbean. So I completely understand the emotional and spiritual aspects of it. But outside of that, locks are still a style on hair.
And it still needs to be maintenance, so that your maintenance didn't necessarily become less because you got locks. There is still maintenance that needs to happen with those locks. It may not be as often as a loose curly, but it's still, there's some maintenance that has to happen even for you as a locked person. Locks doesn't mean less. It just means like,
ooh.
Yeah, lock don't mean less.
That would be a really good discussion.
We could, yeah.
I wrote that down. Shanice, she shampoos once a week and co-wash midweek, depending upon how dirty her hair is, to restyle. She stretches her wash and go, so it only lasts 3 to 4 days. It's not the frequent cleansing is the issue, is what are you cleansing with? Are you lessening the cleansing power of your cleanser at that midweek part? If you're co-washing midweek with something that has either very, very, very low surfactant in it or no surfactant in it, you're fine. You're fine. That's just like a refresh, restyle. You're not cleansing.
Marty, you don't need to know the name of the conditioner. That's not gonna help you. That's not gonna help you.
That wasn't actually a conditioner. That was a styler.
Oh, doesn't help though. See, she thought it was a conditioner. See,
because if I told you, I mean, I can tell you what it is. It's in a sense I create hold. But the question is, what would you use this for? How would you use this? And are you a good candidate for how you want your hair to wear, or how to be, how to style, how to last? Would you be a good candidate to use this particular product? That's where we get into, we can keep asking people what they use. I can tell you what I use, but if you don't know why and how, it doesn't make sense. That's why so many of us have these bookcases and sinks full of products, because we don't know why and we don't know how. And
Yeah.
it's not us being difficult because my profession is to show people how and why.
I would have not told you. Look, I'm like, I would have not told you.
I can tell you all that long. You can go buy it. You can go spend $24 on this gel and not know what to do with it.
No, but real talk. And so again, it comes back to this whole conversation of grease. Why are we using grease? How are we using grease? Why do we bring that back? Why do we need that? And so that's where we come into the conversations like, I can't see the how or why. I don't have a good enough explanation as to bring that back into my routine when my whole point was to get my hair hydrated. I wanted to make my hair more manageable because that's what a lot of y'all are trying to do is make the hair more manageable. And I don't want to spend all day doing my hair because you have to spend all day getting that grease out of your hair with very strong shampoos and then have to detangle that hair because that hair is going to be really tangly because you had to really use a really strong shampoo to get all that grease out of your hair.
Wait, let me stop you right there. How are you detangling with all this grease buildup on this natural hair? Because all I remember as a kid is the struggle. Girl, all I remember is my hair feeling like icky and it being a struggle.
And Linty.
Because my hair was not a struggle to detangle. My hair is actually still wet. This is day 0.5. It's still wet. Actually, it's dry here and wet like here.
I remember lint. I remember dirt. Like I remember a greasy face. I remember. I call them back. I remember pimples. I mean, and I remember I was reading through the comments on one of the posts and somebody mentioned having a grease spot, leaving a grease spot in their classroom somewhere. And the next day they came back and the teacher had put something there because they made that area greasy. And I was like, that doesn't make me feel good to come back and the teacher put something there because you greased up the board and they don't want you to grease the board up again. So it's like, that should tell you something like this isn't really this.
Or when you fly on a plane and you know a Black person sat there. I don't want nobody to think it's me. But you know a Black person sat there because there was a whole like grease head spot.
I don't know.
I'm a rusty girl.
The Jerry curl or grease. I don't know which one's the worst as far as at least the Jerry curl is greasy. I don't think the Jerry curl is as greasy as grease. Like the Jerry, at least it'll evaporate. Like
if you do it right and you live in a humid climate, it's going to fly everywhere because of all that glycerin and how. Because like somebody who had a my mom's hair wasn't juicy. It was juicy, but it wasn't drippy. But there was a lot of people who wore their curls drippy.
Okay.
And so she's like that. I still remember the smell. That's why I can't use that Diva conditioner because it smells like Carefree Curl Activator. I still see the yellow bottle with the red writing and the little thing you had to, and he's just pressing it. Oh, I hated it.
No. Oh no, they're doing like twist outs and braid outs with this grease. That's the styling that I've been seeing coming across my screen.
And not to be that person, I am that person. To me, I'm looking at this hair, and as a stylist, regardless of whether we did straight hair, natural hair, relaxed hair, whatever, as stylists, we're always almost styling somebody's hair in our heads. And so I'm looking at it, be like, your hair is freaking amazing, but you're making it less amazing. Because I see the style, and I'm like, if you were going for the fluffy look, dope. But that fluffy look is going to last you one day and you're going to have to retwist at night and you're going to have to over manipulate. And it's a good thing that you've lubricated this hair because you keep doing stuff to it. And we start compounding on difficulty. You keep compounding on difficulty. Okay, Marty, you have sensitive skin, tried a lot of products, did a 30-day hair doc several years ago. Your hair likes creamy leave-ins, but you're sensitive. Okay, so what is your hair like with a creamy leave-in and how do you style your hair? And I can't use Diva. My skin, I have very sensitive skin as well. But the question is, what are you allergic to? And that's where I want us to dig a little deeper. And this isn't directly to you. A lot of times when y'all give me a starting off point, it's not directly to the person saying, especially with the locks. So I saw you, Zuleika. But it's to get that information out there while we're here.
Another thing I want to. Oh, go ahead.
Finding out what we're allergic to, because no hairstylist can direct you into the right direction unless they know what you're allergic to.
Yeah.
I have a lot of skin sensitivities. I have psoriasis, I have eczema, I have chronic hives, luckily that haven't come back in a while. So a lot of the things that we use don't trigger that for me. But knowing the ingredients that you're allergic, you may want to go have an allergy test done, because then at that point, everything is going to be a crapshoot in figuring out whether you're allergic to it or not. We just found somebody who was allergic to orange. And so we're like, okay, now that I know you're allergic to orange, you can't use none of this line.
Right.
You can switch you over to something completely different. My people who are not allergic to nuts, I send them usually to Curl Mix because they have a sensitive that has no fragrance. It's very simple ingredients. And there's not much of the typical allergens in there. So finding out the thing that triggers you can isolate your allergy. I mean, it could be nuts, it could be gluten, it could be sugar. So finding out what it is first before just kind of jumping off.
Yeah, and I wanted to say, anybody who did the 30-day hair detox with us in the first 2 years, a lot has changed in the last 2 years, with us both being in the salon versus just one person in the salon. And then there's more clients that we have worked with over the time. We have a better understanding now of climate than we did when we first started. We've changed some of the products, some of them.
Because either formulations have changed or there's new stuff that's becoming on the market. So everything shifts. So here's the thing, for parabens, as I understand them, are not high on the allergy scale. They're high on the carcinogen scale, but not necessarily on the allergen. The hydrolyzed wheat protein, if you are sensitive to gluten, or you are sensitive to carbs that would have gluten in them, in terms of like things that you eat, or you would have the same reaction to things on your skin. If it's just hydrolyzed wheat protein in your hair products, I wouldn't necessarily direct ways to that, because usually if you're affected in one area, like in your scalp, you will see ramifications happening in other parts of your body. And because sometimes actually there's a preservative that you said Pierce is allergic to.
He is allergic to, and actually, I know it's a phenylhexanol something. It creates, and I have a friend too. We have a friend who is also allergic to it, and that's how I was able to pinpoint what it was. But it causes his skin to form a crust, like almost like he had we scratched it and it scarred or something. And so he can't use it. I can't use products that have it in it, or I try to stay as botanically based as possible when I'm doing stuff with his hair. So being, again, and this all comes from just being able to have conversations with other naturals to figure out these things. I never heard of anybody with an orange allergy, so this is new to me. I've never heard of that. I've heard of things like shellfish and something standard, but we've got clients who are allergic to nuts,
stone fruits,
tea tree oil, marshmallow root. So these things come up just in conversation, and what helps is that they can share this is something that I noticed when I was using that product, and then somebody else can say, I was having the same issue. Well, maybe if I delete it, and then they see that there's a difference. But again, like he has said, going to a dermatologist will definitely help isolate what your allergy is, instead of stop trying to figure things out. People, there are people out here with credentials who have gone to school, who have all the practical experience that can actually help you figure this out much faster than you could, because they have more experience than you do. And I'm saying again, general, this is for everybody. It is not for you to figure out. Natural hair is not for you to figure out.
It shouldn't be a second job. It shouldn't be a second job. It shouldn't be this thing that's taking hours and hours and hours. Because actually, I'm in a group that the majority is not tight curls. And even in their mindset that everything is trial and error, and really having to reframe it is, no, it's not trial and error. It's just like anything else. It's trial and error when you don't know. Like right now, for me, fixing a car would be trial and error. And I'm not going to touch the Volvo. I'm going to take it to the place and let them do what they do. Or if I don't have the ability to do that, I'm like, I'm going to have to wait. But this is something that if I hold in priority, I'm going to take it to the person who knows what they're doing. So our grease is that leave it at the stove, because it's only about this much grease at the stove anyway.
It's probably been sitting there these last 10 years because wasn't nobody really using it.
It's old. Oh, I didn't think about that. The turnover on that grease, I'm sure is not that high either.
It's not. That grease is old. Nobody's been using grease for at least the last, I'll say and I'm being real conservative, I would say at least the last 5 years, nobody's been really using grease.
So
that
grease, how old is that grease? How long has that grease been sitting in the warehouse? How long has that grease been?
The lot number on that grease. And I'd love to know. I'm just saying.
All right, so Shanice, do we have an opinion on the potential issue with Diva products? So here's my thing with Diva. I'll give the PC version of it. Anything that causes you not to use a surface active agent to actually cleanse your scalp with can create issues in people who have either an overgrowth of fungus, an overgrowth of bacteria, inflammatory issues, seborrheic dermatitis, eczema, psoriasis, any number of things that someone already is working with in their body. If they are not necessarily cleansing properly or cleansing with something that then leaves a residue on the scalp, as Diva can do, because there is a learning curve to using it, there can be issues. 2, which are people using the proper formulation for the hair they actually have on their head, not the formulation that has been marketed to them, because Decadence was marketed to Black women. Most of us don't need anywhere near the protein level that both of those products include. And so that can start to affect the health and the integrity of the cuticle and can incite breakage and have other issues with that. So Diva has its place, not on my back bar, but Diva has its place in hair care when used as directed and appropriately on the appropriate person. Unfortunately, because it is a brand, they're going to market to the widest available base. And just like some people experience issues, some people did not experience issues. And that, again, has to do with the essential elements of their hair, how they were using the product, when they were using the product, and any underlying issues. And so I get it that some people have had issues with it. I think it being beat into the ground by certain folks is a little bit of an overkill.
Yeah, and I'm going to have to co-sign everything she just said because she said it better than I would have said it.
That was my.
No, you did really good. I'm really proud of you because I was just be like, I would have said something else, but what she said was perfect. There's just too many. Again, there's too many factors at play to just say that product did that. I am not 100% convinced that that's what actually occurred. And I've seen some things and I'm just like, okay, I got too many questions. The same questions I would ask a client in the salon about anything that's going on with their hair. If they blame it on somebody else, I ask all the questions. I'm not blaming anybody until I have a clear understanding of every single moving part that could have created an issue. So I'm not 100% sold because people have been using this product for quite some time, and all of us, I'm not.
I used it for years. Diva was the first curl class that I went to in 2011. I didn't start hearing anything from clients having issues with it until 2015.
Okay.
Now, there were some ownership changes. There was some lab changes. There may have been some supplier changes. Again, I can't confirm these because I don't work in the Diva corporate structure, never have. But I did notice a shift, and that's what actually made me start to figure out what else is out there in the market that could be serving clients. So we could say, oh, you have an orange allergy. Okay, go to this. You have a peanut allergy. Okay, this may be good for you. So being able to just give solutions. This is why we are brand neutral. We want what works, but we know that everything in one line can't work for everybody. And we have to know the
either. It didn't work on a relaxer either. My stylist never had all of the same of nothing. It was a bunch of mismatched things on her back bar. And for a reason. It was the reason why she used what she used, because that's what she liked and that's what the results she liked to get. And so the same can be said for us now. This curly market, marketplace or having products available is amazing. But no one lie has just killed the game. On every single product. We know because we use a lot of this stuff, or we read the ingredient labels to find out if we would even see or test or try it to see if it actually works. So nobody one line has like, they have disrupted and they've killed every single leg. No, we haven't seen it.
There's one that has come close. Beyond that, no. Marty, if you're a cosmetologist, you need to join us over at Cut It Kinky.
Yeah, you're in the wrong area, girl.
You can come over to Cut It Kinky. Especially if you're practicing or thinking about practicing again, come over to the stylist side of it, because that is a whole nother level of understanding.
And see, Shanice, that's what I'm talking about. You experienced something, you saw it, and you stopped using. I don't understand that people keep using something, and it's like making things as exacerbating your issue. You noticed something was, your hair was cool, you started using it, it's like, this ain't cool. I'm going to stop using it and move over to something else, and your hair has been better ever since. This is the type of discernment that we all should be using whenever we're using products. If you're using something and your scalp is itching, like it is on fire, you need to stop using something, and you need to do the process of elimination to do so, to figure out what it is that's causing the issue. So again, let's leave the grease back in, at 1987 Easter Sundays, and just move forward, okay? Because I don't know a stylist out here, and I might know the stylist. We probably don't agree, but I don't know any stylist that I communicate with that has blue magic on the back bar. That's all I want to say.
Nobody I know. And I know lots of stylists of a lot of ethnicities and a lot of different places, and ain't nobody I've ever seen have blue magic on their back bar. About Makeda Gaskin, you need to see a dermatologist. Seborrheic dermatitis is an internal skin issue that is caused by the overgrowth of fungi, or an autoimmune response, or a combination of the two. You need to get with a dermatologist that understands Black hair and Black hair care practices and work to determine a solution for that. That is beyond my licensure to give assistance on seborrheic dermatitis. Although usually I can look at it and diagnose it, or I can look at it and see that what it is, but I still ask for them to go get an official diagnosis to know what to do with it. Marty, Divas, okay, so sodium hydroxide is a preservative. When it's used at the bottom of an ingredient list, it's used as a preservative so that bacteria, fungi, viruses, parasites can't grow in the product, because that's what having a mass marketed shelf stable product means. It has to be able to sit in a warehouse for 12 to 18 months, and then sit on a shelf for 12 to 16 months, and then sit in your bathroom for however long. So if anybody's noticed, if you look on the back of your bottles, most of your bottles, all your bottles should, it's good 12 months from being opened by you after you've bought it. It still has to go through the entire supply chain before you even buy it to open it. So it has to have an effective preservative in it so that you don't do that. It's also used to adjust the pH. Thank you. So that's
yeah. So having some context again, how and why. There's a reason why sodium hydroxide is in that particular product, and that's why it's in there. So it's just not like it's a reason.
Like they put some relaxer in your hair product.
Right. Because they've been trying to make relaxer in y'all product all this whole time while y'all been trying to be natural.
So they said use their system of shampoos and conditioners. Are you sure you went to a dermatologist, or did you go to a trichologist? Because typically a dermatologist is not going to suggest that you use their system of shampoos and conditioners. A dermatologist is going to provide you with either a prescription shampoo or a prescription ointment to lay upon the scalp to start to kill the fungi. Because one, it's a couple of different things put together, but they're trying to eliminate what's happening on your scalp and having you cleanse more often, and get that off your scalp and start to balance your scalp out. They're not usually, a trichologist is not a dermatologist.
It's not the same. A dermatologist is a board certified medical professional. This is someone who's gone through 4 years of college, another 4 years of medical school, along with another 4 years of residency.
And then possibly another 2 to 4 years of fellowship. So they are able to actually diagnose. They're able to take samples, see them under a microscope, see what type of fungi or whatever's going on is working on your scalp, and able to then prescribe the right medication to address that for you. There is nothing that all a trichologist is in the United States. Now in the UK, it's a little different. They are paraprofessionals. So they're equivalent to what a CNA would be, a certified nurse's assistant, not a nurse, a nurse's assistant. So they're about equivalent there in the UK. In the US, I could call myself a trichologist right now. I've been doing hair long enough. I know enough about the scalp. I can call myself a trichologist right now. No medical training. My bachelor's degree is in painting, guys. Painting. I took astronomy just so I could take one science course that I had to take. But I could sit here right now with no additional training and call myself a trichologist. And not to say people who study the scalp and do those additional trainings, but a trichologist and a dermatologist are supposed to work hand in hand. The dermatologist is the one who diagnoses, does the research, diagnoses, and prescribes the treatment. The trichologist is the person who is supposed to implement the system of treatment that the dermatologist has recommended, and then style you in a way that works with your hair. But would you been seeing a trichologist for what though? A trichologist is a hairstylist who specializes in a healthy scalp, but they cannot diagnose. That is not an official diagnosis, nor can they actually prescribe. A lot of the things that we're trying to put Band-Aids on are things we need for real medication about. And there's some people who have hair loss from maybe stress or postpartum shedding. They can be treated with like, okay, shampoo with this that may like cleanse your scalp and condition with this, and don't wear this hairstyle, and this is what we're going to do to cover up your patch and let it give it some air to grow. That's what a trichologist does. No.
Again, you have to, because anything associated with what's happening to your hair as it's coming out of your scalp, that is internal. That is something inside. That is a medical. When you get beyond the surface, we can talk about stuff that's happening beyond the surface, like when the hair is out and is living. We can like, okay, I see, because Zakila is saying something about older women seem to suffer mostly with breakage at the ends of the hair. Has nothing to do with age, babe. Absolutely nothing to do with age. That is all that comes with hair care. And that's practice. That's hair care practices. We have to start talking about the practices that has nothing to do with somebody's age.
And possibly medication and hormonal status. That those two things can be affecting, especially when you're like, when you become perimenopausal and postmenopausal, your hormone levels shift. And so how the quality of the hair that you grow out of your scalp can be different if your internal health is not aligned, or you're experiencing certain things that go along with aging. Alopecia areata, and you have an ointment and shampoo with injections. You're so afraid it's going to spread, but it sounds like you're being proactive in trying to control what's happening. Because I can't remember if alopecia areata is one of the inflammatories alopecias or not. I don't remember.
It is. No, it's still. All of the alopecias are associated with some level of inflammation. It's all internal. There could be some exacerbation. In fact, I posted this yesterday because Dr. Kendry talked about alopecia areata, and she did a whole little explanation of it, and I reposted it on Black Girl.
So you're going to our stories. So if you're okay, if she looked at your products and then looked at your scalp and recommended her products, I would go, especially because y'all have nationalized healthcare, I will get on the list for a dermatologist. I know it may take you some time to get in, but I will put myself on the list to see a dermatologist and really get down to a lot more. Because it's my spirit when a trichologist carries one line of products and just say, okay, my product is going to solve everything.
Yeah, I'm not convinced. I'm not convinced at all. In fact, alopecia, just to talk about alopecia, there's over 25 different forms of alopecia. Alopecia just means, the word actually just means hair loss. That when they put alopecia and then there's another word associated with whatever diagnosis you have, that's your specific diagnosis. Because I have a client who has alopecia, and she loses hair in a very specific spot and it grows back. Have another client who has a nickel allergy. She literally lost hair right above her ear. This is why you need to go see a dermatologist, because again, there's so many different forms of actual hair loss. And there could be something as simple as your glasses that have nickel in them causing your hair to break off. So, literally on both sides, her hair broke off. There was no hair right above her ear, but she had so much hair that we were able to cover it. And so that was my job. My job was to make it look like she had no hair loss. The job of her dermatologist was to figure out what was causing the hair loss and then prescribe some medication to help with her diagnosis. So that's really important to understand that. If you guys don't have any other questions though.
I do want to say for Sugar Me Honey, before we get out of here, that your dermatologist gave you clobetasol for your scalp. Your trichologist said you need to use her system, which is costly. Please go back to dermatologist, because I'm going to take the advice and the direction and form a relationship with someone who is experienced. And when I say experience, again, 4 years of a science major in undergrad, 4 years of med school, 4 years of residency. That's 12 years of school in the body by itself that went from general to more specific to more specific. And for those who are really good, they went really deep and specific in a fellowship. So, and then they're practicing. So they are seeing multiple people every single day who are experiencing the same or similar things that you are. I am going to listen to that qualified voice, especially when we built trust and a rapport with them. I'm going to listen to that so much more than a hairstylist who took a 3-day class. And this is not to shade my profession, but I can't be out here trying to override someone who has way more experience than I do. Experience, resources, and practical experience. So please, and clobetasol is actually, again, it works for inflammation, and I think it also helps to reduce the amount of the fungi. You also might want to talk to your dermatologist. I had a client, and this is where my experience ends. I had a client who had seborrheic dermatitis, and she switched over from clobetasol to it was the same medication, but it was in an ointment form, because as Black women, we don't shampoo our hair that often. So if the medication's on for 10 minutes once a week, it's not as effective as if you were literally putting the medication on the night before you shampooed your hair, having it work actively with the skin, and then going back and shampoo and conditioning. So start to talk about what your alternatives may be if the clobetasol is not doing the thing that you intended to do. So keratin treatment is like the keratin treatment makes me ill. I'm certified in one of the keratin systems. I did 2 of them before I quit because they literally make me ill. Like, I have to be in bed for the rest of the day. I feel so sick. Then it depends on what you want. If you want a keratin treatment and you want your hair bone straight, go ahead and do it. A keratin treatment is not going to give you curl back. You might as well just go get a sodium hydroxide relaxer. You're probably going to have a lot less of a body reaction by just going and get a sodium hydroxide relaxer. I'm not anti-relaxer. I promise y'all, if this wasn't what I did for my profession, I probably would have one for about 6 months of this year.
Yeah. So you guys have a lot of questions. We already went over an hour at this point. I need to go to my son's school. So
I need to figure out how to get some food.
that part. We will be having more. If you want to have more conversation with us, you can join us over in the Black Curl Magic Digital Salon, which is our online membership community. It is currently $24.99 a month because it is going up. So if you want to, yes, and when I say going up, it's going up like very soon. You might want to hop over now and join us now. You'll lock in the $24.99 rate. In the meantime, you can catch us on social media. We'll be here. Can't say when stuff comes up. We're like, oh, we need to talk about this, and we'll address it here on this platform.
I mean, Makeda, that's not something we can talk about because that is a prescription. Clobetasol is a prescription. You're going to have to talk to your doctor about that.
All right, y'all. So we've talked about grease. We have talked about hair loss. We have talked about dermatologists and trichologists. I think we've covered quite a bit this afternoon. Thank you so much for joining us again. You can stay connected with us by joining us in the community. If you just want to read up more about caring for your natural hair, you can actually grab yourself a copy of Wash Your Damn Hair, which is our ebook. It's our ebook. And you can join us over at Black Girl Curls on Instagram, because that's where we are a lot of times posting things and answering some questions that come up in our section. But to get real clear and to get a real concise understanding of hair care, you have to join us in the community. Like always, we want everybody to have dope ass hair. That's why we're here. And y'all have a good Tuesday.
Bye.